if I stumbled upon Scarlet Witch in the grocery store, I would lose it.
Buying potion stuff.
Yeah, just buying some spices.
I can totally see her buying some like Frank's Red Hot for all of her potions too. How's it going, everybody? Tony here from Kapowcast, and today we are going to be talking about the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And joining me today is my sister from across the way. And where are you at now?
Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Beautiful.
Pennsylvania. Always sunny over there, I hear.
Yeah. Watch out for the Nightman, though.
And yeah, we'll be talking about the first episode of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which hit Disney Plus this past Friday. If you haven't watched it, obviously this is your spoiler warning. So if you haven't, go watch it, come back, and then you can join this talk about with us. So episode 1 is entitled New World Order, and when I seen the title, all I thought about was Hollywood Hulk Hogan, first and foremost. Initial thoughts. What did you think with this first episode?
So it definitely hit my expectations. I knew they were going to use this as a chance to set the scene for what we're looking at. One, it's a new format for Marvel Universe. So I knew that they were going to take some time and really kind of give us the details where it's at in the timeline, what Bucky's been doing, what Sam's been doing, and just get us really set up. But overall, I really liked it. It's definitely different from WandaVision. I enjoyed how that was a little bit, started off a little lighthearted. Spoiler warning, if you haven't watched that, gets a little dark real fast. It gets
very dark. I like it.
But it's definitely a nice contrast to that too. I know there were some criticisms of WandaVision that it started off too slow, but this one, I mean, right within the first 10 minutes, you've got an insane action scene. So
yep,
it was a nice flip, and it felt a little bit more like the Marvel stuff that we've seen in theaters.
Right. I mean, it's kind of hard with these two, and in particular these two characters, it's going to be kind of hard not to have that action because they're both army based characters. So if you don't have the action, then are they really doing what they are supposed to do?
Exactly. So I was happy to see it wasn't all story, and we got some of that back into light here.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where it almost felt like, okay, we did all this with WandaVision, so we really need to kind of give a punch right there in the get-go because we're coming right off of it. We're 2 weeks after WandaVision ended, and now we're right into the Falcon and Winter Soldier. So it's zero pause. We're going to keep going. I know you've expressed that you're not the big comic reader, but this episode, just like the first episode of WandaVision, gives me that issue 1 of a new arc feel. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I said this is the one thing that I really like about Marvel having their own shows is that it literally makes me feel like I'm reading comics again. It feels like it's that issue of the month where it continues on with the story arc. And it gives me that same feeling every Friday. I'm like, oh yeah, Falcon Winter Soldier, time to get going again. So it's incredibly exciting for me as I would say former comic reader, because I just don't pick them up anymore. It costs too much money.
Exactly. Yeah. So full disclosure to anybody listening, I am not a huge comic reader. I am familiar with the overall storylines. I know, blasphemy. But here is you
don't know nothing.
I know. Yeah. The point of view of a casual audience member, I guess you could say.
Right. With a light background on the characters.
Yeah. So
you're not completely stupid to the characters. It's
no, not at all.
You're not like,
I'm
who's the guy with the metal arm?
Yeah. I'm also if I'm curious about somebody who I haven't seen yet, I pick up the Google and I go into the Marvel Encyclopedia and I look up what's going on so that I'm not entirely ignorant. So I've got enough curiosity and enough passion about storylines that I look into it. So there you go. Don't come for me. It's okay. But yeah, it was definitely, like I said, it takes the time to set the scene for everything and to let us know where we're at. And like you said, it really does feel like a new issue 1 of a new arc. And here's the thing about not having read the comics too. As we saw with WandaVision, another spoiler alert, just go watch it. If you haven't watched it, it's been 2 weeks. Come on,
go
watch it. So with that, we got a whole lot of speculation based on current and existing storylines in the comics.
Much.
None of it was right.
None of it was. It was the greatest thing in the world.
So good. All this speculation, all this fan theory, and they came in and they said, we see what you want, but you ain't gonna get it. So I love that they do that, and I love that they have enough creativeness in their writer team that they're like, we're going to do something new with this using the existing stuff so it still makes sense, but it's still an exciting story. Because honestly, even if I had read all the comics, I don't really want to just see that taken, copy and pasted to the screen.
Exactly.
That's what my imagination's for. I want to see new stories.
Speaking from a guy that with phase 1, it obviously hit a lot of story arcs that like I loved. You know, there was the Extremist story arc with Iron Man 3. There was obviously the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War. And the factor that like they pretty much just like took the basis of the comics and then like wrote their own thing with little kind of like homages to the comic itself is good, because like I'm sitting there and I'm actually feeling like I'm watching something new. If it was a copy and paste scenario, I'm pretty sure that I would get like severely bored through the 2.5 hours in which was Infinity War and Endgame, because I'd be like, I know what's going to happen, which, you know, obviously you kind of already do if you know, kind of have a half a brain. You know, you didn't, unless you're me at the end of Infinity War, who's just having an emotional breakdown because you just seen like all of his heroes like get dusted, and you're like, they ain't coming back. You don't know they ain't coming back. Crying, bawling his eyes out, like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. Everybody else is like, what are you freaking out about? They're gonna come back. You don't know that. You have no idea that's gonna happen. But yeah, no, it's as a comic reader, I'm not one to get like up in arms about the speculation. There's a lot of people that were like with WandaVision, they're like, it's Mephisto, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not Mephisto, because that's pretty like kind of like in depth for like a normal casual viewing scenario. I think this is just about Wanda and her dealing with her grief, and then here's our like kind of like a in spot villain that is gonna, you know, create the challenge to make her overcome her grief of Vision and move on with, you know, her story arc, which thank God they gave Wanda some fucking story arc after like 6 appearances in the MCU. I was getting real tired of the side character stuff. And before we get rolling into this, that's another like beautiful thing about these series so far, is like they're taking these like second base characters that always played like a sidekick or something of that nature, and they're elaborating on them. Like, oh my God, like the factor that they're going to be going more in depth with Sam and more in depth with Bucky is just like got my heart filled to like the brim and is about to burst, because these are 2 characters that like I personally enjoy in the comics. So to see them bring it to life on, I guess we'll say, the new silver screen, it's like a fangasm for me. Like I'm just like, yes, like I can't wait to learn more about Bucky, and they did not disappoint, because this one really picked away that scab and showed you what Bucky is dealing with currently. All right, so to get this rolling, we are going to do this a little bit different. We are not going to like just read you in story form as to what happened in the episode. We have sat down, and after hours of deliberation, we have picked the top 5 moments which we think hold the most gravity in the episode. If you think any different, let us know down in the comments below if we missed something, or if you were like, no, you're wrong. Go ahead, voice it. This is the beautiful thing about the internet. You can say how we were wrong and you were right, and I can choose to ignore you. So anyways, with no particular order other than the timestamp of the episode is how we're going to do this. So the number 1 moment is the Falcon Air Fight at the very, very beginning, which, holy crap, you're like 5 minutes in, you think you're going to have this slow kind of paced walk, and all of a sudden we just have this arsenal of like high gravity air fighting and acrobatic crap that's going on that you're just like, okay, I thought we were just going to like pedal into this, but holy Jesus, which was good. You got some more Red Wing. I don't know how you feel about Red Wing, but I'm loving Red Wing.
It's delightful. I am sorry to my neighbors because the first time I watched the episode, I was yelling during this scene out of excitement. I loved it so much. And like in contrast, I'm going to keep going back to WandaVision because it was Agatha all along in my heart. So I'm going to forever go back. But it was so nice to have an action scene. I know one of the biggest criticisms was that WandaVision started off too slow. And this totally flipped the script on that and gave us something literally explosive. And it, oh my God, it was so good. Just delightful. And thinking about the budget of the episode breakdowns, because what is it? They were $25 million an episode is what they were giving.
It was something insane. Like,
yeah, and so
it was like
this is
movie level budget, and I was like, wow, like we're pulling out all stops here, are we?
Yeah, so I was like, all right, here's the first 10 million of the episode within 10 minutes of starting. Here we go. So it was, oh, goodness. And to see Red Wing come back, I personally love Red Wing. I know it's controversial. People aren't a big fan all the time, but it's just so fun. Like, you get a little sidekick.
I don't know how you can not be a fan of Red Wing, mostly because, like, who doesn't like little droid beeps and bloops? Exactly.
If you like BB-8, but you don't like Red Wing,
yeah,
you're wrong.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Also, very, very pumped that we've seen the return of the Leaper, which was fantastic because, like, a guilty thing Marvel has is they always seem to kill their villains. And it's just like, it's one of those things like, oh man, when in Winter Soldier, when we see Cap take on the Leaper and he neutralizes him, he doesn't kill him, and then obviously he gets away. I go, yes, finally, we have a villain that's like not dead. This is great. And then when he showed up at the beginning of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was like, oh, thank you. Now there is some question because you kind of see him at the end of the battle leap out, and then his little radar thing on the screen disappears. And I was like, he ain't dead. No, he ain't dead.
Never is. He took it off and like slapped it to the helicopter. There's
he did something.
He's coming back. He eluded us for a minute. He's going to elude us for another minute. It's episode 1. I have faith that they're going to bring it full circle and we're going to see him again. But
I kind of hope that, like, you don't see him in the series. Like, I just kind of hope that, like, he's one of those characters that just, like, randomly shows up as an inconvenience because that's essentially what he is in the comics, is just a giant fucking inconvenience. But also we get introduced in the midst of this scene, in the midst of this action-packed scene, Sam's new army buddy, who is, I think it's Tauros. I think that was his name.
I think so. Big appreciation for this guy. Don't know context of comics, but in the series itself, I like that he is just, Falcon's biggest fan. It's
right?
Real cute. I like it.
Yeah, he kind of plays that like Gaga fan. Like, oh my God, I'm like working with an Avenger. This is the greatest thing in the world. And I like that element, the factor that you kind of see how these guys are kind of like rock stars to normal people or average people. That it's almost like every Avenger now is a Tony Stark. Like, they're just like, oh man, it's the Falcon, or oh man, it's War Machine, or so on and so forth. It's a really cool aspect that, like, I don't think they've ever really kind of like hit home with. I think maybe they may have like sprinkled some here and there, but I'm liking that. Like, that's exactly how I would act if like I came across like Bruce Banner or something, like getting a taco.
That's exactly right. If I stumbled upon Scarlet Witch in the grocery store, I would lose it.
Buying potion stuff.
Yeah, just buying some spices.
I can totally see her buying some like Frank's Red Hot for all of her potions too.
That's right. Yeah, she's a little spicy.
We also find out there is a new terrorist organization, I guess you'd call them, called the Flag Smashers, which is kind of like I was like, that's the name? That's what you're going to call yourself?
Real subtle. who one of their goals is to have United Nations without borders.
Yeah.
Just smashing some flags and destroying national identities left and right to have one cohesive, peaceful Pangea. No.
What I was saying earlier is anything Captain America based in the MCU seems to really kind of like really touch home on political views, which is obvious.
Yes.
Like it's pretty much like it goes hand in hand with Captain America. So this one is going to be like really crazy, especially like with all the crap that's been going on the past like couple of years and stuff. Like I don't even know what they're planning to pull off, but like it's going to be. I'm worried that I'm going to be like conspiracy theorying it up like after what was that, Winter Soldier, walking out of that theater. I was like, the whole government's Hydra. It's the only thing that makes sense.
It's infiltrated. Everyone's corrupt. I mean, even going back to the fight scene, you can't fly in Libyan airspace.
Yeah. Yep.
That whole thing, and it ties into today. But yeah, like just buckle up. We're gonna talk about some American imperialism, y'all.
Yeah, he's like, I know I'm not supposed to be over here, but I'm not gonna just let this thing go. I really hate it nowadays when there's things like scenes and stuff that show aircraft working, because there's always things that like pop into my head that I just kind of go, no.
That's not how that works.
Yeah. I get self-righteous at that kind of stuff. Like I got really mad with the ending of like Homecoming when Spidey's on that big aircraft and he's pulling up the flap and I'm like, that's no, that's not how that does that.
Yeah.
But this one was actually pretty good. There was only one little thing that like kind of caught it, and it's not even really like a certainty. It's just one of those things like, well, normally when you see that light, that means this and not this. But it was enough for me to just kind of write it off and move on, which thank God, because like I hate that I get hung up on that stuff. I really do. So thank God for that. But you do see like when they're kind of like in the nose we're down, that you see all the right things doing the right thing, like the right readings. And I'm like, somebody did their research.
Yeah, all the aviation mechanics out there will be happy with this one.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's guys that are smarter than me that probably noticed something that they can complain about, and okay, whatever. But moving on, unless there's anything else you want to add to this air fight.
I don't think so.
Any last thoughts?
If you need to rewind it and just rewatch it again, maybe just keep it on a loop, wake yourself up in the morning, put that on, really just get pumped for your day. That's the kind of vibes you're getting.
I will say I like to call them the flying squirrel suits.
Yeah.
The wingsuits.
Yeah.
Those things are always super cool. Like I'm always like, man, that's so awesome. You'll never catch me doing it though, because it's pretty much like a death wish. Like, I
mean, just the flight through the, not a canyon, whatever it's called, with the rock walls.
I mean, I would have called it a canyon. Like,
whew,
yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, and then they're like flipping over and like shooting at them stuff. I'm like, nah, I don't know what kind of like organization you guys run where people have to know how to do this, but like that's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm good. You can catch me not doing that ever in my life. Good with that.
All right. Our number 2 moment of the episode is Sam's speech at Cap's memorial, which right off the get, when I heard his tone, Anthony Mackie, my boy, just like pulling out the emotion, being that like kind of like strong soldier, strong man kind of aspect, but you can hear like how broken up he is that Cap's gone. And just hearing him like deliver this speech, I'm not gonna lie, I got that little tingling in your nose when you start to, about to cry. You're like, I'm not gonna cry.
Yeah, it's
I'm
allergies.
Fine. I'm fine.
I was
playing in the attic all day. I got dust in there.
Yeah, we weren't crying. We weren't
There's nothing wrong with a grown man crying over another grown man.
It was raining inside, okay? I wasn't crying. It was raining inside.
Did you know, side note, did you know that Anthony Mackie went to Juilliard?
I did. I did know that fact.
He is an actually acclaimed, like, taught actor. Like, he has volume, which is great because, like, Anthony Mackie has quickly become probably one of my favorite actors with just his antics and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, he's got the range, that's for sure. And this definitely showcases it.
You go from things like this, and then you go back a few years and you watch 8 Mile where he plays Papa Doc.
Yeah.
And he's just a straight, like, street level gangster that looks like he might shoot you if you embarrass him in this rap battle.
Yeah, it's got the full range there. So anything you want, you got it.
He's got other things too, but those are the two the two that stick out in my mind is 8 Mile and now the MCU. Like, it's the two pinnacles of his career, in my opinion. But yeah, so Sam at the end of this ends up handing over the shield to the government, which I think we all can say is always a bad idea when you relinquish anything that has high value to the government.
Yeah, going back to your conspiracy theories,
exactly.
As soon as he did it, I said, don't trust the government,
yep.
Sam.
I mean, that was kind of the thing. And then I don't know if it was just us or did you kind of get this hint when he's actually physically handing over the shield to whoever that Ron white-looking guy was, that it was more of kind of like almost somebody talked him in to relinquishing the shield. Like, he didn't fully want to relinquish it, but it was kind of like, hey, this is for the better. This was good choice.
Yeah, you could definitely sense some hesitation in it, and I was trying to decide if it was a hesitation due to him being so torn up about Steve and wanting to hold on to something that was Steve's, that was such a large part of his identity, right, and something that he spent so much time with. And if it was that, or if it was just, a deep hesitation to trust the government, because with the Avengers previously, I mean, the government has gone against them several times. So it's like, what's going to be different about this? Like, why should I trust the situation now?
Right. Obviously, real quick to interject. It seems like Sam's working alongside the government now, which I would assume that means he signed in on the Sokovia Accords, which I'm assuming is still in effect. Like, they never really kind of voiced that. They've kind of like put it out there a couple times that, like the Sokovia Accords are still here. But since Endgame, we really haven't heard any dropping of like those accords, but I'm assuming that they're still in effect.
Yeah. And then going back to WandaVision and the setup with Sword, I'm sure that there were probably new agreements drawn with that. We saw a little bit of it with Rambo coming back in, being grounded after she came back from the blip. So
right.
I think that there's a little bit of that in there because, of course, Sam references it several times of, being gone for 5 years.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that puts a little bit of a cap on what he can do. He seems in his interactions with that, I know he's basically like a contract worker for the Air Force, but it still seems like they've got some leashes on him still, some ties that they don't give him full freedom to do whatever he wants.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah, we'll see if those come back around or if we get some further explanation into the whole Sword situation and the blip agreement, as we're going to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's safe to say we're calling this the blip. There was another name floating around out there that escapes my memory now, but I think the blip is what we're calling.
Yeah.
The 5-year jump.
If you watch, which I watched this episode 3 times because I have no life. But if you watch the end titles, I always watch them super close now because there were a few little Easter eggs that hinted to some stuff in WandaVision, so now I pay attention to them. There are some newspaper clippings on there with headlines that reference it as the blip, so I'm gonna go with it because it's
we'll concrete that in. You heard her here first. It is now officially the blip. There's no other name for it.
It's in writing.
I don't know if like a high schooler from Peter's school actually came up with that or not, but it sounds like a high schooler tag for sure.
Probably.
Later on, after Sam's done with his speech, he ends up meeting up with another one of my favorite side characters, Brody, which ends up he ends up asking him about, hey, why didn't you take up the mantle? And he expresses obviously that, the same thing that we've heard 1,000 times, that he didn't feel like it was needed to be taken up, like that was Steve's job.
Yeah,
nobody can fill that gap.
Yeah, going back to the beginning of the episode, it recaps the conversation that he had with Steve back in Endgame, where he said, Steve handed over the shield and he said, it feels like it belongs to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so they bring it back and call back to the beginning of the episode as well and let you know that Sam's not about stealing someone else's identity and not about filling somebody's shoes. He's going to be his own person. So right. I think that's pretty strongly laid out there. We'll see, because I know in the trailer there's a little bit of him reuniting with that shield, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's rough, because anytime I see the shield now, I'm just like, it's a tearjerker. Like, I'm just like, Grandpa. I know. Yeah.
I think this is going to be like an evolutionary thing. Like, I think Sam is going to be very reluctant right now, but he's going to kind of grow, and he's going to see how like things get handled now that he's relinquished the shield, and he's going to be one of those characters that, like, and you can kind of see it through this episode with other aspects that he's dealing with right now. He's going to be that character that takes the mantle in order to basically keep the spirit of Captain America alive. So like he's going to take it up as the Falcon, but he's going to live by the code that Steven placed in that character.
Exactly. And I think that Steve knew that when he kind of handed the shield over.
Right.
In the depths of their being, I think they come from the same stuff. They both got a strong sense of duty, a very strong sense of like what's right and what's wrong. And so I think that, yeah, we're going to see that a little bit more. And even, I mean, skipping ahead now, but at the end of the episode when he's watching the press release and the announcement at the end, he
looks so mad.
So mad. So mad.
So mad, but so collected at the exact same time, which is frightening. Like,
that's it's like the fatherly disappointment. It's the side of that. It's you knew he's going to do something. So
you see it happen. You go, ooh, I fucked up. Nope, I fucked up.
Yeah, he's going to get that shield. He's not done yet.
There's also one other thing that Rhodey says to Sam when they're talking is that he kind of goes on this elaboration of like, times have, changed, enemies are allies now and allies are, former allies are enemies. It's weird times. Nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows what's going on. We're just kind of all trying to find our grasp on these new times. And I'm just like, wow, like I didn't even like think of that. Like just throwing it off the cuff here, like you have Nebula who worked alongside the Avengers from like the moment of the ending of Infinity War through Endgame, and now is, I'm assuming, part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like as a permanent hero type deal. And she was one that at the beginning of the MCU and all this, like she was trying to kill the Guardians of the Galaxy. She was all about like, she was like Thanos' #1 fan kind of thing. Always wanted to, make daddy proud and kind of that, all that jazz. So like this isn't the first time this has happened. Like this episode alone made me think about 1,000 different things that like I haven't even like remotely for a split second thought about. So the factor that Rhodey was there to kind of throw those little quips of knowledge and little quips of information that like just kind of make you think like, wow, yeah, he's right. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to what I'm going to call the sword agreement. I'm wondering if this is Rhodey kind of cautioning him against what the government and what sword is looking at and trying to decide the people who came back from the blip, what were they doing? Are they all still on our side? Is it anything changed from then?
Right.
And so once again, going back to the don't trust the government, I wonder if this is Rhodey being like hey, well,
that's the thing, right? Is like in Endgame, we kind of seen Rhodey switch hit. He hangs up on Ross and basically just essentially gave him like a big middle finger, like, hey, screw your accords. This isn't working. I'm going to go with these guys and we're going to go stop this thing. So,
yeah, that's right.
It's a weird aspect because Rhodey's always, by the book, by the system. He's that guy. And he's a great counterbalance to Tony Stark, who was the just total polar opposite of that. So, to see him do that, it's one of those like kind of internal things. Like you see that character do that and you go, okay, yeah, this is bad. Like this isn't working. If like the by the book man is like, nah, I'm done with this. I'm partially crippled because of this stupid thing. And now I have to deal with it, which he was looking good. He looked like he was walking just fine now.
Yeah.
Thank God, because
some good physical therapy that's, I guess the military healthcare is taking care of him.
Oh no, I don't think the military healthcare. No, that's Stark healthcare. That's
true, yeah.
That's primo healthcare.
That's the old Stark connection. Yeah.
Yes,
that's true.
The Stark connections, which we hear his name dropped a lot. Also, side note there.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. We'll see.
Me too. And then I kind of thought about it, like how much of a pivotal character he was in everything that was the Avengers. Like he supplied all the tech. He did this. His money kind of did that and all this other stuff. So like he essentially is the foundation of the Avengers, whether you like it or not, because he had the resources to do so. And Cap, I always say Cap was more of the heart of the Avengers. A lot of people disagree with me, obviously, but if you look at it and you look at it reasonably, Stark is the foundation, Cap was the heart. So you can say what you want, but
true. Yeah. He even came up in WandaVision, and I think there's going to be, it's going back to your social commentary bit of MCU and Captain America. I think they're going to tie that in. There's a lot of exploration of Stark Industries' effect on Scarlet Witch and her character development. So I think that there might be a little bit of that going on here as well. Just exploring the military ties that they still have, and seeing how he ties in not just himself as a person with these personal characters, but also kind of in his role of developing the world as it is now, even though he is gone. Spoiler alert, it's been a while, but come on, guys.
That's not even accounting of it as a spoiler anymore.
Yeah, no, if you haven't seen that, you're not even trying at this point. So
so I think no passes.
No, not anymore. So I think that this might also be kind of setting up a little bit of that commentary about, Stark Industries and their effect on how they supported the world coming to the point that it's at and the direction that it's going. So interesting to see that.
Okay. Moving on to moment number 3, and possibly one of my favorite moments of the whole episode, is Bucky's therapy session. It was my favorite for multiple reasons. You got a lot of depth of where this character is within like maybe 10 minutes, the scene tops. I loved his snarky attitude that we haven't seen since like Captain America First Avenger. Like he kind of got a little bit in Civil War, but like to see it very prominent, but in a different manner. Like he's less joking around and more like, I'm covering this massive amount of pain that I'm trying to cope with silently by myself. What did you think of this scene?
I loved it. Like you said, it's a very easy way to get a quick snapshot of where he's at, but I also think that it drives kind of bringing back to his character the humanity of him, because majority of the time that we've seen him in the MCU, Bucky has been taken over by Hydra. He's been against the team. He's been, basically turned into this robot who can't think for himself, who's like on a killing, like we haven't seen Bucky Barnes in a while. I was rewatching the Captain America and just got so happy seeing Bucky Barnes as a human being again. And I was very happy to see that again in this episode and to hear, you know, all the stuff that he's gone through and the way that he's handling it, which not in the most healthy of manners,
no,
of course, but he's gone through a lot, so I don't blame him. But just that self-deprecating humor that really, I think a lot of people can relate to. I know.
Oh yeah.
I definitely, you know, if I'm uncomfortable in a situation or, you know, we're revisiting some trauma, bring out the self-deprecating humor. I'm here for it. So
sarcasm all through and through.
Left and right, sassafras Bucky all day, every day.
And he said something. I can't remember the correct terms, but he said something about, you know, he had one moment of peace in Wakanda. Other than that, he's been going from fight to fight for the last 90 years. And I'm like, whoa, like you are totally right. You went from literally fight to fight to fight to fight. You had no break in there. Like starting right from when you got your enlistment ordeal and you went off to fight Hydra and Germany, I guess, but mostly Hydra, to the point where we now are. Like you have not had a moment's rest. And like that made me feel so bad for him. Like at least Steve got like a 70-year nap.
Exactly, yeah.
Bucky was brainwashed and told to go, assassinate a bunch of people, which, by the way, backtrack a little bit. Before we kick in to Bucky's therapy session, we see a flashback, which we don't know is a flashback at that current moment in time. Like, it doesn't give you any prompt, no nothing. You just see this metal hand come through a wall and grab a bodyguard and then let the assassination ensue, which is obviously it's the Winter Soldier, if I have to spell that out. And he takes out this guy. There's no context in this whole scene, by the way, which was really weird. I was like, where's the context? And then this innocent bystander who's just trying to get back to his room because he's got a big day tomorrow in the office, sees it all go down, and Winter Soldier walks up to him point blank, boom, and takes him out. No context to this whole scene. You're just like, okay, yeah, we know you did bad things. Big deal. Then after we get a little bit more of a glimpse into where Bucky is in a social standpoint. You know, we learn that he's not very social in general, but we see he's back in Brooklyn, back in his home, his familiarity area, and see him walk up into an alleyway, which that alleyway looks really familiar. I don't know if it's the same one, but I was like, is this the same alleyway that he helped Steve out in the beginning?
That's what my immediate thought was too when I saw it.
And we are introduced to essentially Bucky's new friend / wingman. I forget his name now.
Nori?
Is it?
Mr. Nori?
I think it's his first name, but everybody calls him like Mr. Takanashi or something like that. I can't remember if that was it or not. And we think, like, if you're me, my first initial thought is, oh man, he's hanging out with somebody his own age. Like that's awesome that he can have that, you know? I was so wrong.
Yeah, we see that. We get the context of that flashback and the real reason that Bucky's hanging out with this adorable old man.
Yeah, which sucks because you get so much like great kind of like story there where he goes out to lunch with this guy and they're talking back and forth, having a conversation, which seems like relatively normal and healthy, and you're like, good. Like, I'm glad you found at least a little something in this crazy mad world that you have to get back into. And then I call him his wingman because this guy hooks Bucky up with the bartender, I'm assuming. She's a bartender at the place they're at and gets him a date. And I'm just like, looking out. Good looking out, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Bucky takes the slow approach because clearly he's not going to die anytime soon. So this old man's like, listen.
Bucky was never the slow approach guy, though.
No,
like, he was always the guy, like,
he's damaged goods at this point. I mean,
true.
look, go back to that therapy session. He's like, listen, I want anybody inside this brain.
Yep.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I loved how and then obviously this has to be said kind of to give context to where we're going. Bucky has a new mission, and his new mission is to become okay with his past, to make amends with all the bad stuff that he did in the past, I don't know, 70 plus years, which I'm assuming is a lot.
Yeah, based on that flashback, I feel like it's a ton of series of just killing people.
Oh, I'm sure. Sure.
As we find out in that whole amendment scene, that he's setting up some political schemes as well. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. He was working for Hydra, and then he was working for some Russian outlet, and so I'm sure like he just was setting things up left and right for both of those organizations. But yeah, once again, going back to the whole government conspiracy thing where he's like, oh, I implemented you into power, and now that Hydra is dismantled, you are still doing terrible things. But here you go, you're arrested.
Yeah, going back to the whole Zemo thing, if you destroy something, if something's destroyed from an exterior enemy, you can rebuild it. But if you destroy it from the inside, that's it. It's gone forever. So
yeah, I just recently watched Civil War, and I did not give Zemo enough credit. Like, he is the only one other than Thanos that has like actually won the battle, won the feat that he set out to do. And I was like, I did not give this character enough credit when I seen this movie, and this was amazing. Like, I kind of like really sat back and watched Zemo's storyline and stopped giving a crap about like what was happening with the Avengers. And I'm like, man, this dude is just meticulous in his planning. Like, it was flawless.
Yeah, and he's got this like insidious psychology about him that just, I mean, we're still seeing residuals of it, right? With people in government still, and all these different characters that are like still trying to infiltrate things and trying to destroy the Avengers and destroy just this, I guess, sense of unity that everybody has, whether it's false or not. But yeah, Zemo all the way.
I'm excited to see more of him, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, the Legends, the Marvel Legends little recap series they did brings him back up. So
oh, I don't know if I even watched that.
Have you watched it? Yeah. So it's like 7 or 8 minute little clips, and basically it goes through the MCU and brings up every time this character came in and gives you some pivotal points in their story.
I've watched Wanda and Visions, but I don't think I watched Falcon
last night
Soldier.
In prepping and trying to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch the premiere, which was not successful. I'm too old. I rewatched Falcons and Winter Soldiers, and then Zemo's. And Zemo, it sounds like maybe we'll get a little something with Zemo, because they watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier at the end of it. So
here's hoping, man.
Maybe.
So yeah, to go on back on with what is happening with Bucky, little old man, best friend wingman, has this kind of like moment where he sees some sort of food. I'm not sure what it was.
Mochi. Delicious little mochi? Yeah.
I don't know do you know what that is? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so it is it's a dessert. Oh. So it's like rice flour, and then it's got ice cream in the middle, and he says, my son loved the red bean mochi.
Yeah.
And I cried again. It started raining in my apartment again.
And then, I don't know about you, but when he says that and the look on Bucky's face, I go, oh no.
It brings it back, and we understand why we saw that little clip, and it broke my heart all over again.
I know. And later, he goes on the date with the bartender, which is cut short by his guilt, and it looks like he's going to confess and basically hit step 3 of his therapist's little 3-step process. And you see, like, the father still has the shrine to his son, and Bucky kind of chickens out, and it shows his little notebook that has like his list of, basically people that he has to make amends with, and he's number one. Like, I was like, whoa, like this guy was number one in your list of probably multiple dozens of people that you have to make amends with to, get over your past.
But I wonder if he's number one because this was maybe one of his first kills and one of the only innocent bystanders that were killed.
Maybe.
So maybe that's it, because he wasn't directly involved with his mission or anything, and maybe it was.
It's true.
Purely, but like purely a violent kill and not part of a mission, and so that's why he has such heavy guilt about it.
Looking at it in a different light, I don't think it was a cold blood kill. I think it was more of a loose end tie up, because you're dealing with a spy mentality, and this guy literally just witnessed somebody who should be dead kill like a half a dozen guys in a matter of seconds. So in order to keep the secret, the Winter Soldier would obviously have to tie the loose ends up, and sadly, that witness was the loose end. But
that is true. Yeah. Real sad, real fast.
All right. So moving on to the top four, if we're keeping track, right? Four, which was Switzerland. Had no idea what was about to happen here when we first open it up. You get the title, it says Switzerland. You see our new friend Taurus, who is supposed to be investigating or following the Flag Smashers. And we see him kind of come up to a group of people. He's following some sort of GPS coordinates on his phone. And you're just like, what's about to happen? And they pull out these masks out of a bag. And I'm like, oh, they're about to do a flash mob.
That's exactly what I thought.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
As soon as he walked up, I was like, okay, he's just playing Pokemon Go, hanging out with his friends, gonna do a little flash mob. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be real chill. But no, it's real crazy.
It's a normal Saturday night for a young 20-something.
That's right.
And yeah, so then he gets this message from, apparently they have their own app, which I'm assuming that was some sort of Swedish for run or something. I didn't have a chance to Google what exactly it said, but then you hear crashing, 2 bags fall out of a window, big old duffel bags that look like they would be used in some type of robbery, and a masked dude basically do a half-put superhero landing between the bags, and you're like, okay, this feels like something big. And then something, this craziness almost ensues where he's walking away with the 2 bags while, officers are coming to obviously stop whatever's happening. He holds out his arms. 2 other people run past him, take the bags. And then this masked being sees one of the people in the group getting beat up on by a police officer. He decides to just, straight up punt the police officer, which sends him flying. And that was the moment I go, oh no, like, is this Zemo? Like, did Zemo take some sort of I don't know, super soldier serum or something that he found in that little, final battle area in Civil War? Like, what is this? Later, upon a second viewing, I decided, no, this is not Zemo. Like, this is not Baron Zemo doing his thing. I think this is like Baron Zemo's little henchman doing what needs to be done for him. Because it nothing about it felt like Baron Zemo, but we do find out this dude is super powered in some way, shape, or form, whether it's like Kree blood or super soldier serum or whatever it might be. Our new friend Taurus gets his ass handed to him, and just a matter of seconds, you see the raw power that this guy has and the capability that he's able to take out a trained army personnel who obviously has some moves too, because he takes down that cop really, really fast. And see him get taken out in a matter of just 3 seconds. And shoot, that's scary. Is this another Winter Soldier type that we will see having to go head to head with our heroes?
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Is this going to be one of the first matchups for our boy Bucky?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's real scary. And watching, I mean, my initial thought was Taurus must be a rookie because he shows up and he's got so much hesitation, pulls his weapon out and is like, I'm going to shoot you. And this guy's just like, I don't give a shit about guns, dude. And just curb stomps his face real fast. So,
right.
Yeah, I think this guy's going to be real big villain here for us in the first couple episodes at least. So
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe it's Zemo being a little puppeteer, sending some people out. Maybe it's somebody else.
I think it is. Like, knowing Baron Zemo as a character, he's never a frontline guy.
No, he like waits. He's like the final boss. So you got to get through.
Yes, he pulls the strings and he sends out his goons, and then not until you're basically too late you find out it's Baron Zemo. Exactly. And he's like, my plan has been put together.
Yep, and, that's right.
Talks in his very elegant accent. I'm not sure what that accent is that what's his face has, but all I know is it sounds evil and it sounds really, really suave too.
Yeah.
And so Torres takes this new information and heads back to his boy Falcon. Says, "Hey, there's some crazy stuff going on. You might want to look into it," which leads us directly into our number 5 moment. The new Cap emerges. Just as I thought at the beginning of the episode, giving the shield to the government official was not a good idea, because what did they do? They rebranded the Captain America name. And boy, oh boy, does it feel like our boy Anthony Mackie was having a day. Yeah.
And to make matters worse, not only did they, do this whole speech of we need a symbol to really unite us in this time, but they also chose like an off-brand Steve Rogers to replace him with.
I know. He looks like a goon.
You couldn't bring out the big bucks and get like, Chris Evans part 2. He doesn't even have the juicy biceps that he can pull a helicopter in with. All right.
He's got nothing. He doesn't even have a jawline. Like, I was just like, Jesus, like, who is this? He looks like a chud.
Ridiculous. It gives me flashbacks of Steve Rogers doing the stage show. Just straight up
trying
clown.
To get the war bonds.
Yeah. Like, he just walked out and the first words out of my mouth were, "Who the fuck's this clown?" And
He's the dancing monkey.
Yeah. We'll never forgive them for off-brand Steve Rogers.
Now I'm going to get a little bit political of the current climate. Do you think Marvel and Disney have the gall to take this aspect where basically this government official rebrands Captain America, doesn't use Sam, but decides to just basically make this off-brand Cap with a white guy, and you're going to use that angle, the factor of like, you don't really represent America and doing all that crap. Do you think Disney's going to touch that?
I don't think that they are pretty good about not taking a super strong stance like that. Mm-hmm. They put out messages all the time, we support diversity and inclusion and all this other stuff, but I don't know that they're going to come out with an overt message of, we need additional minority representation, and that is why Cap should be Sam. Also, I think that would pull people out of the storyline too much for them to just pause and be like, no, it's got to be Sam because he's black. I think that would be too abrupt.
Yeah, I agree.
But I am so excited for Captain America to be a black man. It has been way too long, and Sam deserves it. Like we said, he, at his core, is all of the makings of Steve Rogers plus some. He's a fantastic character. and I cannot wait to
They're
see
cut
him.
from the same mold.
Exactly.
Like that's at the base of it all. Like Sam and Steve are cut from the same mold, and they basically they're like the same side of the same coin but different.
Yeah.
I don't know, like that. It doesn't make sense to me. I hope it makes sense to somebody else. But some honorable mentions that we didn't get to really touch on is I really liked seeing the inside spec of Falcon Sam going back and dealing with like his family oriented issues and kind of like flaunting like his newfound stardom as being an Avenger and being Falcon. Because like it was very grounded. Banks denying people for loans to basically save their well-being after a very monumental, earth-shattering thing happened with the blip and all that. You kind of find out that like him and his sister, they have this boat and this company that his sister wants to basically kind of just get rid of, and Sam for some reason is just like holding on to dear life with this company, this boat, the house, and not wanting to get rid of all of it. And I'm really hoping they kind of like go down that line just a little bit. Like I don't want like a full episode or anything like that, but just give me a little bit more as to like, why is Sam trying to hold on to this so hard? And will those aspects of him like kind of like gripping on and fighting for like what he believes in be kind of like this weird stepping stone or a slight foreshadowing into how maybe he works his way back to the whole Captain America mantle?
Yeah, I hope that one thing I liked about WandaVision is that we did see a little bit more of that background. And so I'm really hoping that we get that with Sam. And I'm hoping, like you said, they tie it in with his kind of circle back to deciding, okay, screw this. If they're going to do an off-brand Captain America, I'm going to take it up. Like, it's my time. So I really, really hope we get some motivation brought in from his family. But yeah, I really hope that we go down this path of exploring his family history and exploring what the tension is there with being unable to easily just get rid of this stuff.
Right. Let go of the past.
Yeah, I know that our family is super sentimental. For the most part, we hold on to a lot of stuff that we can probably just toss, but we keep it because of memory. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's no story about this, 20 plus year grudge with our mother about throwing away some Ghostbuster toys that, are going to get re-released. But I
will not let her live that down.
Never.
Because I would still to this day have that Kenner Proton Pack. The re-release is going to say Hasbro. It won't say Kenner.
That's true. But it's going to be engraved on her tombstone.
It is. It will. I'll make sure of it. I'll put that extra 50 down for that engravement. But before we end this out, we are going to install a new thing for these. It is going to be the MVP of the episode. And the MVP of the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is none other than Red Wing. Red Wing is your MVP for episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
All right, the BB-8 of the MCU, Red Wing. Deal with it.
He needs his own hot toy.
Yeah,
1-to-1 scale.
We've got all this, spoiler alert, Mandalorian. We've got Grogu.
Yep.
All this merch. Give me some Red Wing merch, okay?
Give me some Disney.
It's double-sided. I'm from Detroit. All right, we've got the hockey team. Love of my life. I need some Red Wing merch from the MCU. Disney, get on it.
Yep. They should actually, the Detroit Red Wings should change the logo to Red Wing from the MCU. It's
close enough. Just make it like a new minimalist, modern graphic design thing. It'll tie in perfect.
It'd be perfect.
And yeah, we'll get, little, they're doing it in the parks already. You can build your own little droid. Let's get a little Red Wing droid out there. Little drone.
Only at Disneyland.
Yeah.
In Avengers Academy.
Yeah, Avengers Campus. when
Was
it's
that what they
opening.
called? I thought it was Avengers Academy.
No, it's Avengers Campus. No one knows when it's opening, but the Spider-Man Web Slingers ride looks very fun.
Yeah, it does.
I'm real excited. And then, going back to when they were testing the little robot that apparently is going to be like jumping around all the buildings.
Yeah,
very
that's
excited.
Weird. It's really weird to me. Like, I'm just like, oh, this is how it all starts. Like, this is essentially a T-800.
Yeah.
Those things that become self-aware, and all of a sudden little kids are going to start getting their arm broken off. And then be like, Spider-Man's gone nuts.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to replace the seagulls from Disney World, and it's going to be swinging down grabbing churros from little kids left and right. So
that would be pretty awesome. Like, just sitting there and like, oh, my churro. And
Spider-Man just takes your churro out of your hands. I'd pay money for that experience.
I would pay money to see that. I would.
Yeah.
I would. Sorry, people's kids, but I'm sorry, not sorry.
No, it's entertainment right there. High-end entertainment.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this talk about of episode 1 of Bucky and the
Bucky and the Sam, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
There you go.
Get it together.
Thank you.
One of these days.
Be on the lookout. I'll be designing t-shirts, hashtag Team Bucky, hashtag Team Sam. So as soon as those get rolling, I'll let you guys know about it. But if you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that thumb up thing and the bell for notifications so you are notified every time that we release a new video here on our YouTube, Facebook, whatever you are watching this on. And if you want to help us out, you can head over to patreon.com/Kapowcast, where you can become a monthly Kapowcast backer. And next year, you'll be able to take place in our March Madness ordeal that we have going on right now through our website at kapowcast.net. Christy, thank you for taking your time out of your day to nerd out about this episode. And I'll see you next week.
No problem. I'm probably going to go watch it again because why not?
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.